So, folks, there has been an escalation of violence on the West Bank, or in the West Bank, rather. And it's really bad. We've talked about this recently, where the number of attacks have escalated by about 50% just earlier this year alone. And that escalation has continued. And one of the major inciting incidents of the recent violence was that as Israeli settlers were attacking a Palestinian community, one of the Palestinians grabbed a gun that was being wielded by one of these attackers and shot the man who had been holding it. And now this has, of course, spurred a massive outpouring of violence from both the IDF and settlers against Palestinians in the occupied territories. And it's been quite bad. But however bad you think it is, I want you to all understand the reality that we are hearing about, that we aren't hearing about, rather, is worse. One of the reasons I say that is because a lot of the messaging coming out of the Israeli state and its related apparatuses is designed to coddle American viewers. And what happens in more domestic-oriented media in Israel, and especially when it comes to how settlers believe and think and orient themselves in the occupied territories, is exponentially worse than basically anything you could possibly imagine or justify. 3 days ago, this piece went up for the BBC. We're going to watch some of the video that they have here. From this headline, Israeli West Bank settler tells BBC attacks on Palestinians are justified as revenge. Now, what is unusual here is that usually Israeli settlers do not talk to foreign media. Usually they only talk to friendly media. And this is a bit different because, well, the brain rot of the settler colonial mindset has become so normalized in Israeli society that they now feel safe to express these ideas. They're truly genocidal aims. So let's take a quick look at the video posted, and then we'll go and look at a couple of the quotes here in the article.
I don't go to the Palestinian people and burn the houses of Palestinians.
But that's exactly what happened on Friday.
Yes.
6 houses in Sarah.
But it's revenge.
We're inside the Israeli outpost of Hevat Gilad. I can see caravans, sheds, simple block housing spread over several hills in both directions here. This outpost is very close to a number of Palestinian villages. The nearest one is less than a mile away, and many of those Palestinian villages have reported settler attacks over the past week. This has happened after a security guard from here in Hevat Gilad was shot dead by a Palestinian man in a confrontation nearby. 4 Palestinians and another Israeli man were also killed in that confrontation.
I think now, after they kill one Israeli people, we need to kill all the people in Tel and Sarah, even Jit and Farata. Why? Because we don't want it to happen again.
It sounds like you're saying one Jewish life is worth hundreds or thousands of Palestinian lives.
Not million. One Jewish life, it's 10 million, okay?
That just sounds racist.
Yes, I know. I know, but this is the truth. Because God chose us. Because of this, you are jealous.
These inflammatory views, rejected by many Israelis, are crucial to understanding the growing violence in the West Bank, which many extremist Israeli settlers see as land given to them by God.
So, it doesn't get much more explicit than that. But part of the problem here is that even when confronted with this level of blatant racism, this level of blatant pro-genocide rhetoric. Like this is beyond just racism. This is eliminationist. What he's saying is, because they killed one of ours, we get to kill all of them. That's what he's saying. And what is wild here is that you might think, well, okay, well that's just some guy, right? Well, Yehuda Shimon is not just some guy. He's a lawyer who is working with an organization specifically representing Israelis who get arrested for conducting and engaging in violence against Palestinians. And so he's not just some guy. He's he's educated on the law. He is, in some cases, in some senses, an authority figure here. And he's out there saying, it's justified. We should be able to kill all of them. And when we are taking a look at this entire, how this fits into the wider narrative, the wider story of what's going on in Israel, is that this guy represents people who are protected by the power of the IDF, who are explicitly protected by the majority of the members of the Knesset, if not the entirety of the Knesset. And he's also speaking on, he's not just like he's an extremist in Israeli society. This is the official policy of the state of Israel. For whatever reason, in this BBC article, as you read through it, it makes a distinction between the authorized and unauthorized settlements within the West Bank and the occupied territories. But all of them are illegal. Both authorized settlements in the West Bank and unauthorized settlements in the West Bank, they're both illegal. And the IDF explicitly is there to support those settlements, to protect those settlements. And she talks about how the settlement that this guy is currently speaking in favor of, is one of the unauthorized settlements. It's been there for over a decade. In fact, prior to this violent, escalation, the Netanyahu government had been looking at authorizing this particular settlement. All of these are illegal. Hundreds of thousands of people have been allowed to build on Palestinian land. It's explicit government policy to authorize these. What is happening here isn't, and the ideology fomented by this expansionism is explicitly endorsed by the Israeli government. And so part of what makes me so mad watching this is that you see a man here explicitly defend genocidal intent. And the BBC is like, well, that's racist. And also, yeah. It's like walking up to Nazis outside the concentration camp and pointing out that they're racist.
Have you seen the interview of an Israeli settler by Louis Theroux?
Yes.
She is evil.
I would absolutely play that clip, but I can tell you, because I've played that clip before, it will get clobbered by YouTube DMCA. But everyone should watch the movie The Settlers, because it's a really great in-depth look at exactly this. For those who don't know, Louis Theroux goes into a lot of these settlements and talks with Israeli settlers, and they're just open about it. They're just open about their hatred. They're open about their bigotry. They're open about their violent intent. Many of them walk around permanently armed, and they make light of it. And when Louis Theroux is like, "What are you expecting? Violence?" And they're like, "Oh no! I just carry this around all the time." And it is one of those things where it's just, at what point do we have a reckoning with our in the sense of America's relationship with Israel? At what point do we reckon with the fact that it isn't just a few out there extremist nut jobs? It's a large section of the people who make up Israel. And like that's a problem. And it's not something that you can be like, oh, well, they're Jewish and therefore you can't criticize them. Like, no, like we're not talking about people on the basis of their being Jewish or not Jewish. We're talking about them on the basis of them supporting genocidal policy. Havat Gilad was established more than 20 years ago in memory of an Israeli security officer murdered by Palestinians, a loosely scattered collection of houses with a vineyard perched high on one hill. When we visit, there is now a row of newly burned buildings near the entrance. The result, Shimon says, of an arson attack by Palestinians. Israeli media reported that police were treating the fire as accidental, caused by cigarette butts thrown out of a car window. Israel's government has previously said it would legalize Havat Gilad. It's been there for 20 years. The issues, all brought up by the BBC, were dismissed by Shimon, who said international law was irrelevant because the Bible gave Jews their right to West Bank land. And he criticized Israel's government and army for failing to back Jewish claims to the land strongly enough, despite a vast expansion in settlements and outposts under the current Israeli government. There is nothing that would ever be enough, right? There's nothing that would ever be enough other than complete and total eradication of Palestinians from the occupied territories. That's it. And he's explicit about it. He criticized the Israeli army for not using lethal force often enough against Palestinians during confrontations with Israeli settlers. The Israeli government and the Israeli army, they like the United Nations. If Palestinians come and Jewish people come, they don't kill the Palestinians, they just separate the people. Afterwards, because they don't kill Palestinians, the Palestinians kill us. The UN Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs says 64 Palestinians were killed in the West Bank from the beginning of this year until July 20th, or 18 of them during settler attacks. At least 12 of those were killed by settlers, 3 by Israeli forces. In 3 other cases, it's not clear. And it says 1 Israeli was killed over the same period. This is not an equal conflict. This is not two sides squaring up. This is one side is a bunch of settler colonials who are going in deliberately to occupy Palestinian land, and they're backed up by the entire force and might of the IDF, one of the strongest regional militaries. So this is just not at all anything that you could call other than genocide. This is genocide. It's slow rolling enough that perhaps a lot of media organizations refuse to use the label or aren't catching on or are still trying to couch their criticism of the Israeli government in the, oh, well, maybe they don't know, or maybe they're being used by these extremist elements, but they themselves aren't extremist. This is a slow rolling bulldozer of a genocide. Year after year, their territory grows, Palestinians are displaced and forced into more and more compact enclaves. And at some point in the not too distant future, you're going to have exactly what happened in Gaza happen in the West Bank. It is going to be a powder keg of millions of people crammed into what people will be calling an open air concentration camp. And they're going to continue to get squeezed until something horrible happens. And then there will be more extremists in power within Israel to try and give, a final solution to this problem. And what needs to happen before we hit that inevitable tipping point is that we need to find some way for it to be evitable. We need to find a new solution. And that involves cutting Israel off from the veneer of normalcy presented by the United States, the aegis of military cooperation with Israel. Ties need to be cut, funding needs to be cut, and there needs to be a diplomatic, geopolitical reckoning where this mad dog of a nation state gets reined in, because this is frankly an ongoing catastrophe, still ongoing in Gaza. It's ongoing in the West Bank, and it's ongoing in East Jerusalem. It's untenable. And I mean, you can see it. You can see it here. Challenged on this, Shimon accused the global media of buying the narrative of the Palestinians, alleging that every Palestinian in the area owned 2 guns and was preparing to repeat the Hamas-led attacks of October 7th. If we don't wake up and drop them all from this area, from all areas of Israel, even Gaza too, they will come back and come back again. Like, he's literally arguing for, like, death camps. He's literally arguing for violent, fatal execution of an entire ethnic group. I'm just so tired of this idea that this isn't normalized within Israel. I'm so tired of this. These people are literally willing to go on camera to say, to make their genocidal points. And still mainstream media continues to coddle the entire nation state. It's sad, it's pathetic, and it makes me so unfathomably angry. For those of us here in the United States, there's one answer to this entire problem, and one answer only. And that is, we need to get politically organized and elect people into positions of power who are actually going to do something about this, who are actually going to put an end to sending money to fund these genocidal fucks. That is the only way we end this forever. So folks, join your local Dems, join your local DSA, get involved today and start, organizing. We need people organized in the Democratic Party. We need people organized outside the Democratic Party. If you don't know where to start, you can join our Discord. Reach out to GamerG for help joining your DSA. Reach out to Dragonfly for help joining your local Dems. And if you want to do some door knocking or phone banking for different progressive candidates across the country, there's a link down in the description for Progressive Victory, and they will help facilitate all of that. They're doing some really, really great work. So folks, go check all those links down below. And also, last but not least, second to last but not least, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave a comment, because comments really, really help in the algorithm. Share the video around. And now last, for real, check out ImogeneOlivia.com, gender euphoric lingerie designed from the ground up for trans femmes, tested with cis men, cis women, non-binary folks. It is comfortable, sexy,
use
non-tucking
more words
lingerie.
Like you just go Greek on me, baby. Talk Percy Jackson to me, lol.
No, I can't talk Percy Jackson to you. I'm sorry. Because I'm too old to have read those books. But thank you for the $5 dono. And folks, let's keep on going.
Riverboat Jack is going to town. All the viewers gather round. Twitch and YouTube and Swishy streams. All that content is bursting the seams. Politics, gaming, plenty more. Your sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff and hop aboard. We're going straight to Jack's Discord. Riverboat Jack.